Okay, imagine for a second that the economy is a living, breathing human body.
Right.
If factories are the muscles, doing the heavy lifting,
Hmm.
and consumers are the appetite, then the trucking industry is, well, it's the circulatory system.
No question. The veins and arteries.
It pumps the oxygen, the goods, the food, the fuel to exactly where it needs to go. But here's the thing about a circulatory
You
system.
don't notice it.
You never notice it when it's working perfectly. You only notice it when there's a blockage, a clot.
Hmm.
And right now, if we look at the logistics landscape, especially in a place like South Africa, that system is hypertensive. The pressure is just incredibly high.
Yeah, it's a profoundly high-stakes environment.
We're talking skyrocketing fuel prices, road infrastructure that is literally crumbling.
It is. And what's fascinating and, frankly, a bit scary is how fragile that system actually is.
Exactly.
You can have a fleet of these massive, powerful machines. I mean, millions of rands and assets sitting there. But if the operational health isn't there, the whole thing just grinds to a halt.
It's not about horsepower anymore.
Not at all. It's about the survival of the fittest systems.
That is exactly why I'm so excited for today's deep dive. We are looking under the hood of the trucking business.
We are.
We're working off a really comprehensive guide from Greystride. They're an advisory firm that specializes in this exact sector, and their report is called The Signs Your Trucking Business Needs External Support and What to Do Next.
And just to set the stage, Greystride isn't just throwing out, generic business theory here.
No, it's very specific.
They're looking at the South African context. They've identified what they call the warning lights,
Right.
these little indicators that flash on the business dashboard, often months before the engine actually blows up.
So that is our mission today. We're going to decode those warning lights. And I want to be clear to you, listening right now, even if you don't own a single truck.
Yeah, this isn't just for fleet owners.
Right. Even if your fleet is a team of software developers or a marketing department, stick around. This is a masterclass in operational health.
It really is.
The way you diagnose a sick trucking company is surprisingly similar to how you diagnose any complex system that's starting to fail.
It's about spotting the difference between, say, a rough patch, which every business goes through, and a real structural failure, which is what actually kills businesses.
Okay, so let's start with the lifeblood, money, specifically cash flow. Greystride calls this first warning sign the leaky tank.
Great analogy.
And honestly, that image is visceral. You're pouring fuel revenue in at the top, but the level just never seems to rise. Why is that so common in this industry?
It's the classic symptom of distress in logistics. In trucking, there's often this huge lag between doing the work and actually getting paid.
The payment term.
Exactly. You might have 60-day payment terms with a big corporate client, but your diesel, that's cash on delivery or very short terms. Your drivers need their wages every week or month.
So on paper, you look great.
On paper, you look rich. Invoices are piling up on the asset side, but the actual cash in the bank is effectively zero.
So the warning light isn't just, we have no money. It's that disconnect.
It's the disconnect between profit and liquidity. That's it. The red flags are really tangible. You find yourself dipping into your overdraft just to make payroll.
A really bad sign.
Or maybe your clients are consistently paying late and you just don't have the buffer to absorb it. You start choking your own liquidity.
That's that anxious feeling, right? Of running faster and faster just to stay in the same place. So if the tank is leaking, how do we patch it? Because just selling more isn't the answer.
Well, selling more can actually kill you faster if you can't fund the operations to deliver it.
Wow.
Greystride is very concrete here. The first step is visibility. They recommend running a weekly cash flow forecast.
Okay.
And I don't mean a P&L that looks backwards. This is a forward-looking map. What is coming in, what is going out for the next 30 to 60 days?
And why that window? 30 to 60 days.
Because that's the payment cycle in logistics usually. If you can see a cash crunch coming 3 weeks from now, you could do something.
You can make a call.
You can make a call. If you only see it on the Friday that payroll is due, you're dead. You have no options left.
It buys you reaction time.
Exactly. And once you have that map, you look at collections. And this is where business owners need to swallow their pride a bit.
How so?
Greystride suggests prioritizing overdue accounts by offering small, early payment discounts.
See, that feels counterintuitive. If my margins are already tight, why would I tell a client, hey, pay me less?
Because the time value of money is critical when you're in that red zone.
Oh.
If giving up, say, 2% gets that cash in your bank today instead of 3 weeks from now, that liquidity might be what saves you from defaulting on a fuel bill.
So that 2% is the cost of survival.
You're buying liquidity, yes.
Okay, what about the other side of the equation, the money going out?
Supplier relations. This is all about smoothing out the spending peaks.
Right.
If you have a good relationship with your fuel supplier, your mechanics, you negotiate. You try to get extended credit terms. If you can push a massive bill from this week to next month, you flatten that curve. It makes the forecast look a lot less terrifying.
Okay, let's unpack another financial warning light because this one feels like a real paradox. Sign number 5 in the report is shrinking margins despite revenue.
The busy fool syndrome.
That's it. It trips people up. You're busy, the trucks are moving, the revenue numbers look huge. But at the end of the month, where's the profit?
It's so dangerous in the current South African context because operating costs are volatile. I mean, fuel prices, tire costs, insurance, they're always going up.
Sure.
And if your rates aren't climbing at the same speed, you are effectively paying your customers for the privilege of hauling their goods.
That is a terrifying thought. Paying someone to work for them. How did they miss this, though? Surely a business owner knows if they're losing money.
You'd be surprised. Many look at the global number. They think, we brought in R1,000,000, we spent 900,000, we're good.
But they're not looking at the detail.
They're not looking at where that money came from. Greystride's advice is to get granular. You need to break down costs by kilometer and by load.
So treat every single trip as its own mini business.
Precisely. You need to know exactly what it costs to move one truck on one route. You might find your Durban to Joburg run is profitable,
Okay.
but that cross-border run to Zimbabwe, which looks great on paper because the fee is high, is actually bleeding you dry once you factor in border delays, bad roads, driver overtime.
You don't know what you don't measure.
You don't.
Ah.
And once you have that data, your specific cost per kilometer, you can benchmark. Compare your costs against the industry averages. Are you spending 20% more on tires than everyone else?
And if the answer is yes, what do?
You dig into the why. Maybe it's driver behavior, harsh braking. Maybe it's the brand of tire. Then you take action. Bulk buying is a big one. Greystride highlights. If you have the data, you can go to a supplier and say, look, I'm buying this much volume, give me a better rate. You can't negotiate if you don't know your numbers down to the cent.
It's seeing the matrix behind the money. Okay, so those are the financial warning lights. But a trucking business is physical. It's metal and rubber and people.
Crucially, people.
Let's talk assets. Warning sign number 2, the maintenance backlog.
This is where the rubber literally meets the road, and unfortunately where it often fails. The risk is obvious. You wait too long, a small rattle becomes a blown engine.
And a truck in the shop is a truck not earning.
Exactly. I feel like this is where that firefighting mentality is most dangerous. You're so busy trying to get a delivery done that you skip the service.
You think, just one more run won't hurt, right?
That is the fatal error. Just one more run is usually the one where the breakdown happens.
Of course.
So Greystride suggests a hard pivot from reactive to proactive. They talk about the preventative maintenance calendar.
That's a bit boring.
It sounds boring. Fixed dates for oil, tires, brakes. But it is non-negotiable. It has to be treated like a religious holiday. The truck stops on that day, period.
But isn't that expensive? Taking a truck off the road when it seems to be running just fine.
It's expensive in the short term, but so cheap in the long term. A scheduled service is maybe a day off the road. A breakdown on the N3 could be a week, plus towing, plus late delivery penalties.
Plus the reputational damage.
All of it. Greystride also suggests vetting your partners. Don't just go to any mechanic. Find providers where you can negotiate fleet rate agreements.
Economy of scale again.
Yes. And then there's the tough one, the retire decision.
Oh, this is interesting.
You have to track the maintenance spend per vehicle.
So knowing when a truck has become a zombie?
Exactly. If you're tracking the data, you'll see truck A is costing 3 times as much to keep on the road as truck B. At a certain point, the data tells you it's time to retire that asset.
That's got to be hard, though. We get attached to things. Or that sunk cost fallacy kicks in. I just put a new gearbox in, I can't sell it now.
That's the trap. I've spent so much fixing it, I have to keep it. But if it's draining the life out of the business, it has to go. The numbers. Well, the numbers don't have emotions.
Speaking of emotions,
Yeah.
let's talk about the asset that does have them, the drivers. Sign number 6 is driver turnover and burnout.
This one hits home. You can have the best trucks in the world, but without a skilled driver, they are just expensive lawn ornaments.
Right.
The report says recruiting is a massive struggle right now.
Yeah.
If you're constantly hiring, or worse, having safety incidents because of fatigue, your business is in deep, deep trouble.
It's so easy to just look at drivers as a line item on an expense sheet. The churn cost must be huge.
It is massive. Recruitment fees, training time, the loss in efficiency. A new driver doesn't know the route as well. They might use more fuel.
They're more likely to have an accident.
Statistically, yes, in the first 90 days. So Greystride points out that high turnover isn't just an HR headache. It's a massive operational risk.
So how do we stop the revolving door? Is it just about paying more?
Money matters, of course. But Greystride highlights that it really starts with recognition, incentives, safe driver awards, milestone bonuses.
Feeling seen.
People want to feel that their hard work is seen. But even more than money, it's about lifestyle.
Lifestyle. In trucking, that feels like an oxymoron.
It's difficult, which makes it even more valuable. Greystride highlights home time guarantees, especially for long haul. That predictability, knowing you'll be home for your kid's birthday, that's worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely.
And finally, offering a career path, training, progression. So they aren't just driving a truck, they're building a career with you.
That shift in framing turns a gig into a profession. Okay, moving on. We've looked at money, trucks, and people. Now let's look outside the window, the external pressures. Sign number 3, rising customer complaints.
This is usually the loudest warning bell. The phone rings, and it's an angry client.
Late deliveries, damaged cargo.
Poor communication.
Yeah.
And in a competitive market, you just can't afford that. If they start canceling contracts, it's game over.
But sometimes things go wrong that aren't your fault, right? Traffic, weather.
Of course. But you have to fix the process of how you handle the chaos.
I see.
Greystride suggests a really strict feedback loop. Record every complaint. Don't just apologize and hang up. Assign an owner to that problem and close the loop within 48 hours.
48 hours, that's fast. Why is so specific?
Because frustration ferments. If you leave a client wondering what happened for a week, they assume you don't care. If you get back to them in 2 days with, here's what went wrong and here's what we're doing so it doesn't happen again, you can actually build trust.
Turning a negative into a positive.
Exactly. But even better, stop the complaint before it happens. Use tech, GPS tracking for real-time updates.
Be proactive.
If a truck is going to be late, tell the client before they have to call you.
That's a huge psychological difference. Me calling you to say I'm running late is proactive. You calling me to ask where are you is failure.
Transparency builds trust even when things go wrong. And Greystride mentions standardizing loading procedures.
Simple stuff.
It feels so simple. If everyone loads the truck the same way, stuff breaks less often. Consistency is quality.
Then there's the external pressure you can't negotiate with, the government. Sign number 4, regulatory overload.
Oh yes, the red tape. Especially in South Africa, this is a beast. Cross-border permits, environmental regs, the NRCS. Getting your truck impounded for a paperwork error is a nightmare.
And that's a real risk, isn't it? It's not just a fine.
Not at all. If a truck's impounded at the border, your cargo is stuck, your client is furious, you're paying legal fees.
And your rules are always changing.
That's the challenge. You cannot just set it and forget it. Greystride is very clear. You need to stay informed. They specifically recommend subscribing to newsletters from the NRCS and the South African Freight Logistics Permits Office.
That sounds incredibly dry. I can't imagine many fleet owners are excited to read the Permit Office newsletter.
It is dry, but it's much better than reading a seizure notification. They also suggest a quarterly audit. Every 3 months, check every license, every permit, and use automation.
Right. Don't rely on memory.
There are compliance tools that will ding your phone when a renewal is due. Don't rely on a sticky note on a dusty monitor.
Do not rely on a sticky note is probably good life advice in general.
Indeed. Yeah. It's too important to leave to chance.
So we've diagnosed the patient, the tank is leaking, margins are thin, trucks are aging, drivers are tired, customers are yelling, and the government is auditing. It sounds bleak.
It does.
But Greystride doesn't just leave us in the pit of despair. They offer a roadmap to recovery.
And this is where we shift from identifying the problem to administering the cure. They outline a 6-step recovery roadmap.
Let's walk through them. Step 1, diagnostic review.
Basically getting a second opinion. You need an unbiased health check of financials, ops, maintenance. When you're in the middle of a crisis, you can't see the wood for the trees.
You're too emotionally invested.
Completely. You need someone to come in and say, here's exactly where you are bleeding, without worrying about your feelings.
That objectivity is crucial. Step 2, prioritize quick wins. I love this. You need to stop the bleeding before you do complex surgery.
Exactly. You need to build momentum. If you try to fix everything at once, you fail. Find the low-hanging fruit.
Like what?
Maybe it's renegotiating that one supplier rate we talked about,
Hmm.
or tightening up collections for one big client who always pays late. Show the team and your bank manager that things can get better quickly.
Step 3 is the 90-day action plan. Why 90
A
days?
year is too abstract.
Yeah.
In a crisis, a year is an eternity. 90 days is long enough to make real change, but short enough to keep the urgency high.
Right.
You map out clear milestones. By month 1, cash flow variance is X. By month 2, the new maintenance schedule is live. You assign owners. It turns a vague wish into a real project plan.
Step 4, ongoing monitoring. So, not flying blind anymore.
Dashboards. We keep coming back to data. You need to track the KPIs we talked about. Truck availability, cash flow, renewal dates. You need to know if the plan is working in real time.
Step 5, invest in capacity building. This is interesting. It's about training your own team to do what the consultants are doing.
The goal isn't to be dependent on external help forever. That's not sustainable. You want to train your in-house team in route optimization or forecasting.
Building the company's immune system.
Exactly. You're transferring that knowledge into the DNA of your staff.
And finally, step 6, partner with a trusted guide.
This brings us full circle. The South African landscape is unique.
Mm-hmm.
The challenges of moving goods through Baitbridge are different from moving them through Texas. You need an advisor who knows the local market dynamics. You don't want generic advice. You want advice that works here.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from firefighting, running around with a bucket, to thriving.
It's a shift in mindset. When you spot these signs early, the cash flow dip, the maintenance backlog, you aren't just fixing a truck. You're protecting your assets. You're restoring peace of mind.
You're moving from a chaotic operation to a disciplined business.
A data-driven business.
And for you listening, I want to bring this back to your world. Maybe you don't manage a fleet of 18-wheelers. Maybe you manage a household or a department or just your own career. But look at the principles. Visibility on cash flow, knowing what's coming in and going out, preventative maintenance, fixing things before they break, whether that's a car or a relationship.
It applies everywhere. The maintenance cost isn't just about engines, it's about systems. If a process in your office is broken and requires 5 emails to fix every time, how much downtime is that causing?
That's a great point.
If you ignore the warning lights of burnout in yourself, what's the cost of the eventual crash?
That is a powerful thought. And it leads me to the question I want to leave everyone with today. We talked about the retire decision for trucks, tracking the spend per vehicle to see if it's worth keeping.
Yes, the hard numbers.
What if we tracked the maintenance cost of our own outdated processes or habits?
Oh, interesting.
At what point do we decide to retire a way of working that is costing us more energy and stress than it delivers? When do we look at a habit and say, this model is obsolete, it's time to upgrade?
That is the ultimate efficiency question.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is just stop doing something that no longer serves the mission.
A huge thank you to Greystride for the insights in today's deep dive. It's been a fascinating look at how to keep the wheels turning.
Indeed. Keep watching the dashboard, everyone.
See you next time.